In Psalm chapter 147, verse 3 to 7, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. He determines the number of the stars and calls them each by name. Great is our Lord and mighty in power. His understanding has no limit. The Lord sustains the humble but casts the wicked to the ground. Sing to the Lord with grateful praise. Make music to our God on the harp. These verses depict a God who is not only mighty and all-powerful, but also deeply compassionate and attentive to the needs of His people. He is present in times of suffering, offering His comforting presence to heal and restore those who are brokenhearted. His divine nature, marked by infinite wisdom and strength, is displayed in the way He rules the entire cosmos, yet remains intimately involved with the lives of individuals. He is aware of every detail of creation, even knowing each star by name, reflecting the extent of His care and sovereignty. At the same time, God's justice is evident in His actions. He lifts up the humble, offering them protection and support, while He ensures that the wicked are held accountable for their actions. His judgment serves as a reminder of His holiness and righteousness. In response to such a God, the psalmist calls for a response of praise, a recognition of God's goodness, His mighty acts of restoration, and His unsearchable wisdom. The psalmist invites us to worship with genuine hearts, celebrating God's greatness through song and music, acknowledging that He alone is worthy of all honor and glory. This call to praise emphasizes the importance of not just recognizing God's power, but also expressing gratitude for His love and care. Psalm chapter 147 speaks about God's love, care, and power in healing and restoring His people. Here are 5 ways God will heal your heart based on these verses. The number 1, He will bind up the brokenhearted. In verse 3, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Life is filled with experiences that can leave us heartbroken: grief from the loss of a loved one, disappointment when dreams are shattered, betrayal that cuts deep, or the sting of failure that leaves us questioning ourselves. These moments of pain can feel overwhelming, leaving us feeling not only wounded but also isolated, as though no one understands or cares. It's in these times that we often feel alone, like we're carrying a burden too heavy to bear. However, in the midst of our heartache, God offers us a promise that should bring comfort to our souls. He is near to the brokenhearted. God's healing isn't just a passive process that happens as time moves on. It's active, personal, and intentional. The passage assures us that He doesn't just leave us to suffer and hope it gets better over time. Instead, He directly intervenes in our pain and binds up our wounds. Imagine a compassionate physician who doesn't just prescribe medicine and walk away, but who gently attends to every wound, carefully tending to the fractured parts of your heart, bringing restoration and wholeness. This is what God does for us. He comes close, offering the kind of healing that goes deeper than just surface-level comfort. God's healing work isn't just about making us feel better temporarily. It's about a deep, transformative restoration that brings peace to our troubled hearts. Where there was once despair, He brings hope. Where there was brokenness, He brings wholeness. His healing is not just a temporary relief, but a full restoration, returning us to the place of peace and completeness that we were meant to experience. When we experience God's healing, it's not just about the absence of pain. It's about His presence in the midst of it. His nearness is the balm that soothes our souls. His presence comforts us, providing a peace that surpasses understanding. Even when the wounds are deep, His healing touch makes us whole again, not just on the outside, but on the inside as well. No matter how broken you may feel right now, take heart. The God who created you, who understands every hurt, is the same God who promises to bind up your broken heart and restore your soul. Trust that He is near and that His healing is real, powerful, and available to you in your time of need. The number 2, He knows and cares for your pain. When you're in the midst of pain, whether from loss, disappointment, rejection, or any other form of heartache, it can feel as though you're facing it alone. In those moments, the overwhelming weight of your struggles can make you feel isolated, as though no one truly understands what you're going through. It's easy to think that your pain is too unique or too intense for others to comprehend. However, God offers us a promise that cuts through that feeling of loneliness. He knows your pain intimately, and He cares deeply for you. God is not distant or indifferent to your suffering. He is not a far-off deity who watches from a distance, unconcerned with the details of your life. No, He sees you. He knows you. He is fully aware of your struggles, your heartaches, and your fears. His healing is deeply personal because He understands exactly what you are going through. When God heals, He doesn't just offer a generic solution or a one-size-fits-all answer. He enters into your specific situation, meeting you where you are. His healing is not abstract or detached. It is tailored to your unique pain and need. This truth brings comfort because it assures us that we are not forgotten. In the midst of our suffering, when the world may seem indifferent or when others might not understand, God is right there with us. His presence is not a distant hope. It is a present reality. He is with you in your grief, in your frustration, in your weariness, taking the time to care for your heart. His attention to your pain is thorough and tender, reminding you that you are not overlooked or dismissed. You are seen, you are known, and you are loved. In a world that often leaves us feeling unseen, the knowledge that God knows the intimate details of our pain and cares for us deeply offers immense comfort. You can trust that He is not only aware of your suffering, but He is also actively working to heal and restore your heart, one tender step at a time. The number 3. He brings restoration. God's healing is not just a temporary solution to ease the immediate pain. It is a profound and transformative restoration of the heart. When we face heartache, whether it comes from loss, failure, or betrayal, it's easy to feel as though the damage is permanent, as if the pain has altered us in a way that can never be undone. We might fear that we'll never be the same again, that the wounds will forever define us. However, God's healing goes beyond simply alleviating our discomfort. It is a healing that restores us to wholeness. When your heart is broken, God does not simply patch you up and send you on your way. His restoration is deeper and more complete. He works to heal the wounds, yes, but He also works to restore the very parts of your heart that have been damaged, making them whole again. His restoration goes beyond fixing what is broken. It is about renewing your ability to love, to trust, and to move forward. He doesn't just want you to recover from your pain. He wants to rebuild you stronger, more resilient, and more whole than you were before the pain even occurred. The restoration that God brings might not always be instant. It may unfold gradually, with steps and stages. But His promise is clear. He will not leave you in your brokenness. He will take what was shattered and bring it back stronger, more beautiful, and more complete than it ever was. His ability to restore goes far beyond human understanding. What was once marred by pain and loss will be transformed as God takes the broken pieces of your heart and makes them new. Though the journey of healing may feel slow at times, trust in the process. God is at work, and His restorative touch is powerful. Where there was once sorrow, He will bring joy. Where there was once hopelessness, He will bring renewed hope. You may not see it in the moment, but God is taking the brokenness you've experienced and turning it into something more beautiful than you can imagine. His restoration is a promise, and it's a work that He is faithful to complete. The number 4. He strengthens you. In verse 5 to 6, great is our Lord and mighty in power. His understanding has no limit. The Lord sustains the humble but casts the wicked to the ground. Heartache and brokenness have a way of draining us, leaving us feeling weak, exhausted, and unsure if we have the strength to carry on. When life feels overwhelming, it can seem like all energy, hope, and willpower have been drained from our hearts. Yet, God's healing power is not just about restoring what has been broken. It's also about restoring the strength that we lose along the way. His mighty power is available to sustain us, especially during times of weakness, when we feel as though we cannot go on any longer. When you're at your lowest point, when you feel like the weight of the world is too much to bear, God steps in with strength that is far beyond your own. His strength is not merely physical, but it encompasses your emotional and spiritual well-being as well. He understands your struggles deeply and is fully aware of the challenges you face. In your moments of weakness, His infinite understanding ensures that He provides exactly the strength you need to endure, to keep going, and to rise again, even when it seems impossible. God's strength is not a fleeting or temporary fix. It is a deep, ongoing renewal. It renews your resolve and helps you press on through the difficulties of life, knowing that you are not walking this path alone. With His strength, you are equipped to face each new day with the confidence that He is with you, empowering you to move forward. His understanding has no limit, and He knows exactly what you need at every moment, providing the fortitude to face the next step in your journey. Though you may feel weary, God promises to strengthen you with His unshakable power. He lifts you up when you're weak, renews your courage when you're afraid, and provides the endurance you need to keep going. With His strength, you can face life's challenges, knowing that He will always sustain you. The number 5. He provides joy and praise. In verse 7, sing to the Lord with grateful praise. Make music to our God on the harp. Healing from God is not just about alleviating your pain or mending what is broken. It also fills you with joy, gratitude, and the ability to rejoice in His goodness. When God heals, He doesn't merely remove the sorrow. He replaces it with something far more profound, joy that transcends your circumstances. Even in the process of healing, as you walk through the journey of restoration, God fills your heart with a song of praise, allowing you to express the gratitude that rises within you. As you begin to experience God's healing, your heart is transformed. Where despair once resided, there is now joy. Where sorrow once took root, now there is praise. Even if your circumstances haven't changed entirely, the joy of the Lord begins to fill your heart. You find new reasons to rejoice and new things to be thankful for, even in the midst of your struggles. This joy, which God provides, is in itself a form of healing, because it shifts your focus away from the pain and loss and redirects it toward the blessings, grace, and love that God has already poured into your life. Praise becomes your natural response to God's goodness. When you focus on His faithfulness, even in the hardest seasons, you discover that joy is not just a feeling, but a choice. A deep, soul-sustaining choice to rejoice in His presence and in the hope of what He is doing in your life. Worship becomes a celebration, not of what was lost, but of what has been gained through His grace. As you lift your voice in praise, your heart is further healed and lifted, and the act of worship becomes a channel for deeper restoration. God's joy isn't just a temporary distraction from pain. It's an anchor that strengthens your heart and soul. As you sing and praise, you partner with God in the healing process, allowing His joy to permeate your spirit and renew you from the inside out. Through His healing, He provides a new song to sing, one that reflects His goodness, His grace, and the restoration He is working in your life. In conclusion, Psalm chapter 147 verse 3 to 7 reveals God's incredible power and deep compassion. While He governs the universe, He is also close to the brokenhearted, healing and restoring them. God knows our pain intimately and actively works to mend our wounds, strengthen us, and fill us with joy. His healing goes beyond temporary relief, bringing lasting peace and hope. In response, the psalmist calls us to praise, acknowledging God's care and mighty acts in our lives. These verses assure us that God's love and restoration are always available, bringing comfort and transformation to our hearts.